Hey guys, this is Mr. V over here doing a book review today for Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll. This is basically Alice in Wonderland Book 2. Before I get into my book review, I want you to know that I try to do a spoiler-free book review, so if you see me looking down, I just have notes, so I try not to give any spoilers away. So, let's get into the book review for Through the Looking Glass. So, the main premise for this book is that Alice is playing with her cat. She's in a room. She's carefully examining this mirror. She discovers that she can step through into a new world. And then you just follow her adventures in that new world. So this book was published in 1871. And while this is technically Alice in Wonderland Part 2, this could be a standalone novel because you hear it's quite different even in the beginning. So it was very interesting though when starting the book, because after reading Alice in Wonderland, I knew the end. The end of Alice in Wonderland, you know that she wakes up and you know that it was a dream. So when I was reading this book, I was wondering, what is this going to be? Is this going to be a dream? Is this going to be that she did step through a crazy universe, or what's going to happen? So that was definitely one fun aspect about the book, even before starting the book. But basically the book, it starts just like the previous book, where Alice just goes through the looking glass and it just starts. And they use a chessboard as kind of a way to like continually guide her through the next world in her world, the new world. But as I said, it's just like the previous book, Alice in Wonderland, in that it just starts. You just go through it, and you just start her crazy adventures. And just like the previous one, there's definitely a lot of weirdness in this one. But I would say that this one's crazier and weirder. But I wouldn't say that was in a good way. It's a different type of weirdness than in Wonderland, but it definitely was much weirder and it was crazier, which I'll get to in just a bit. But while it was crazier and weirder, and like I said, it wasn't such a good way, I felt this book had much more memorable characters. It still had some pretty crazy characters, but it had much more memorable characters. Like it did had some of the crazy ones, like those one really funny scene I loved was his big insects, and they're talking with Alice, and they're comparing the names of the insects in that world compared to the ones in this world. And I just thought he did a very clever way of comparing the names. And that was a scene that I really loved. But some of the other memorable characters that are talked about often are like Tweedledee and Tweedledum, or Humpty Dumpty, and she runs into these characters. So there's definitely much more memorable characters in Alice in Wonderland. But some of the things I did not like about the book was that I felt it jumped around too much. It's similar to the first one. The first one jumped around a lot too, but it's just like the first in that it just jumps around where she's done with one chapter or one segment of the chessboard and she just moves on and it just continues. And there's not much relation then to the previous characters. So, that's one thing I didn't like. Another thing I didn't like, though, as I had commented earlier, is I felt there was like too much weirdness in this one. And I was fine with weirdness. If you look at my other book review, I was fine with the weirdness. I actually enjoyed that in Alice in Wonderland. But this one was too much weirdness in that it just got almost chaotic at times. And I did not like that. It just did not, it just was not good. It just got too chaotic. Whereas I felt Wonderland, the Alice in Wonderland, he did a lot better. You never felt there was just like chaos. Where this one, the weirdness felt like chaos at times. So that's why I felt Wonderland did it a lot better. Now, as for his writing style, I thought that this was a very well-written book. It was very easy to read. You could just pick it up really easily, and you can just picture the scenes very easily. Just like the first, he does a great job with his wording, so you can picture the scenes. But there again, I felt Alice in Wonderland did it better, that he wrote that better to where you could picture the scenes much easier in Alice in Wonderland than in this one. But he still does a good job with the writing in this one. So, overall, I thought this was a decent book, but it does not hold up to Alice in Wonderland. Because I enjoyed Alice in Wonderland a lot more. And there was something about it. I don't know what it is, but Alice in Wonderland I just felt was much better. Alice in Wonderland just felt much more magical, whereas this one felt much more chaotic. And again, I still have to reiterate, it's just something about it. I don't know what it is. There was just something about it that this one didn't feel magical, like Alice in Wonderland did. but let me give it my official rating right now. So I always rate my books on a scale of 0 to 10, with a 0 being an awful book that you never want to read. A 5 is an average, and a 10 is phenomenal. If it gets anywhere near 10, put that on your reading list because I'm a very tough critic. And a 5 is average, so it's tough to even move up even 1 point in my rating system. So, for Through the Looking Glass, I'm going to rate this book a 3.5. Remember, a 5's average. Alice in Wonderland got an average to slightly above average rating, whereas this one is getting pretty far below average at a 3.5. And as I said in my review, the reason it's getting a below average and a slightly below, or quite a bit below average, is just that while there were some fun parts in this book and there were some memorable characters in this book, this just wasn't as magical as Alice in Wonderland, and it just did not capture me. Whereas Alice in Wonderland, I kept wanting to read. This one felt like, okay, I just want it to be over. And there was just something about it that just was not as magical for me. But if you guys have any questions, comments, disagreements, please post it in the comment section below. I hope you guys click the subscribe button, as I always upload multiple different types of book reviews. But thank you for watching my book review today. This is Mr. V. Go enjoy reading.